The war was over. But the fear still remained, even after the peace treaty was signed between Earth and the Virexi Dominion. Everyone knew the aliens did not forgive Isley. The Virexi were huge, sharp-toothed, and proud. Their queen Zeraxels, feared across the galaxy. It was said she drank the blood of enemies and ate those who disrespected her as part of the peace deal. Earth had to send honor sacrifices humans offered to the Virexi court to show respect. No one knew what happened to them after they arrived. None ever returned. This time, the name picked was Eli Vance. Eli was not a soldier. He was an engineer, a quiet man with smart hands and tired eyes. He fixed broken machines, not fought in wars. But due to a system error, or maybe politics, his name was chosen, they gave him a choice. Go quietly, cause trouble, and risk war again. So he went. The Virexi ship came for him. It was black as space, shaped like a beast, and filled with strange lights. Eli was brought aboard in silence. Tall, armored guards with glowing red eyes watched him like prey. He was given robes made of silver threads and fed food he couldn't pronounce. Then they brought him to the Royal Planeteer Hacks. The sky was always dark. The ground hissed with steam. Lava rivers ran across the land like veins. The palace of Queen Zeraxa stood on a mountain built from metal and bone, Eli's. Heart pounded as they led him to the grand hall. Hundreds of alien nobles filled the chamber. They were tall, muscular, with scales and ridged horns. Their sharp eyes followed Eli as he walked down the long path toward the throne. The throne itself was massive, shaped like a beast's jaw, and seated upon it was Queen Zeraxa. She was taller than any alien in the room. Her skin was a dark purple, her eyes golden and glowing. Sharp teeth lined her mouth, and a long, spiked tail rested beside her throne. She wore armor made of molten crystal and bone, and her presence made the room go silent. Eli stopped before her. His legs were shaking. One of the guards stepped forward and shouted, "As promised in the Treaty of Black Star, we offer this human in peace and respect." The queen stood. She walked toward Eli slowly. Each step made the floor tremble. Her eyes scanned him from head to toe, her mouth opened, slightly revealing fangs as long as his fingers. Eli closed his eyes. This is it, he thought. I'm dinner, then. Something strange happened. The queen leaned in close. Her nose was just inches from his skin. She sniffed him once, twice, then pulled back. Her voice was deep and thunderous. This one is different. The nobles began to whisper. Some hissed in surprise. Zeraxa turned to the room and raised one clawed hand. "Let it be known," she said, her voice echoing. "This human shall not be eaten. He shall not be killed." Eli opened one eye. "He shall be my consort," she continued. "My mate." Gasps filled the hall. One noble even dropped his cup. Eli's mouth dropped open. "Wait, what?" But Zeraxa had already turned back too. Her golden eyes glowed with something strange curiosity, amusement. "You are mine now," she said simply. "Husband of the queen." Eli was taken away in shock. He was not thrown in a prison cell. Instead, he was brought to a luxurious chamber deep inside the palace. The walls shimmered with soft light. The floor was warm. Alien fruits, drinks, and clothes were laid out for him. He sat on the edge of the soft sleeping slab, his mind spinning. Was supposed to be food? Now I'm a husband? He didn't know what was worse. A soft knock echoed from the doorway. Then the tall door slid open. Strange-looking alien half-machine, half-organic entered. She had 4 arms and carried a small metal tablet. "I am servant Maya-Lu," she said calmly. "I serve the queen. I will explain your duties." "My duties?" Eli asked, blinking. "Yes, as her mate, you will attend royal ceremonies, share meals with her, and sleep in her quarters twice a moon cycle." Eli choked. "What? I didn't agree to this." Maya-Lu tilted her head. "You were claimed under ancient law. Refusal would mean offense. An offense means death." Eli stared at her. "Great," he muttered. "Married or murdered?" "Good. Options." That night, Queen Zeraxa arrived in his chambers. She did not wear armor now. Instead, she wore a flowing robe made of dark threads that shimmered like stars. Her eyes studied him like a puzzle. "You do not smell of fear anymore," she said. Eli stood. "Maybe because my brain shut down." The queen laughed. It was deep and sharp, but not cruel. "I did not choose you to frighten you," she said. "I chose you because you are not like the others." "What does that mean?" Eli asked. She stepped closer. The others came angry, or proud, or trembling. "But you?" She paused. "You smelled of quiet courage. You looked death in the eyes and did not scream. That is rare, even in my people." Eli felt heat rise in his face. "I didn't scream because I thought I already lost." The queen stared at him. Then, to his surprise, she reached into her robe and pulled out a small crystal dagger. "Take this," she said. He frowned. "A weapon? For defense?" she said. "There are those in my court who will not accept a human mate. Some will try to remove you. Then why keep me alive?" Her voice grew soft. "Because I want to learn what it means to be no more than a monster, and maybe you can help me." Later that night, Eli lay on the strange, soft bed, the dagger hidden under his pillow. He stared at the glowing ceiling, his thoughts spinning. He had come here ready to die. But now, he was a husband to an alien queen, one with teeth and claws, but also secrets and strange kindness. He didn't know if this was a rescue or just a longer, stranger execution. But one thing was clear. He wasn't prey anymore, and tomorrow, he'd have to start acting like a survivor. Eli Vance woke up to the sound of distant drums. The soft alien bed beneath him still felt strange. The walls of his chamber were alive with light, glowing softly in patterns that changed with the hour. He had spent the night half sleeping, his hand always near the dagger Queen Ziraxa had given him. "This is real," he told himself. "I'm married to a giant alien queen. Somehow, I'm not dead." He got out of bed slowly. Servants brought in breakfast-steamed alien fruit, bread made from glowing grain, and something that moved on its own. Eli didn't touch that last one. He was dressing himself in the silver robes again when the door slid open. It was servant Myalu, the four-armed attendant with a tablet always glowing in her hands. "The queen awaits," she said. Eli followed Myalu through long halls made of black metal and glowing stone. Virexi nobles passed them, some whispering, others glaring. One spat near Eli's feet. "Friendly bunch," Eli muttered. Myalu didn't react. "The nobles do not accept you yet. Most believe humans are beneath us." "And your queen just married one," Eli said. "Yes," Myalu replied. "That makes you powerful and dangerous." They arrived at a great balcony overlooking a lava field. Queen Ziraxa stood there, armored now, her golden eyes watching the fire below. Her long tail moved slowly behind her. She turned when Eli arrived. "You look rested." "Not really," Eli said. "Nightmares about being cooked." Smiled. "You joke. That is good. Fear makes weak mates." "I thought I wasn't supposed to be a mate at all," he replied. "Why me, really?" She was silent for a moment. Then she spoke. "There's something inside you," she said. "Something I've never seen. Sensed it the moment you were brought in. It called to me." Eli frowned. "That's not much of an answer." "I don't understand it myself," Ziraxa admitted. "But I trust my instincts. They told me you were not prey." She stepped closer. "Still, others in my court do not agree. There are whispers. Some want you gone." Remembered the dagger she had given him. He touched the place he had hidden it inside his robe. "I figured that. You must be careful," she said. "This palace is not safe. Not for you." Over the next few days, Eli lived like a prince, but one under watch. He was given guards. They followed him wherever he went. His rooms were cleaned daily, and he was served food he didn't recognize. He met with scholars, diplomats, strange artists who showed him paintings made from light and sound. But every time he stepped into a hallway, nobles stopped talking and stared. They saw him as a joke. Some openly insulted him in Virexi language, thinking he wouldn't understand. But Eli had begun studying their speech just a little, enough to catch words like meat, invader, and weakling. Still, he didn't fight back. He observed. He listened. He was an engineer. He knew how systems worked, and this palace was just another system. At night, Zaraxa visited him. Sometimes she asked about Earth, about human cities, music, war, and love. Eli told her the truth about broken governments, good people, and a planet always on the edge. Sometimes, she just sat in silence beside him, watching the lights above flicker like stars. He didn't know if she liked him, but she respected him. That much he could feel, and strange as it was, respected her too. One evening, a new figure arrived. His name was Lord Vecker, a powerful noble with dark red scales and silver armor. He walked with confidence, his eyes full of challenge. He bowed to Zaraxa barely and then turned to Eli. "So this is the human husband," he said, voice full of venom, smaller than I imagined. Eli crossed his arms. "And you're taller." "Than I wanted," Vecker smirked, sharp tongue. "But let us see if it can save you from what's coming." Zaraxa stood. "Enough. He is my chosen." "Your choice weakens you," Vecker said. "The court grows restless. If the queen no longer chooses strength, others will." He turned and walked away without bowing. Zaraxa's claws twitched. "He will try something," she said quietly. Eli looked at her. "And what do I do?" "Stay alive," she said. "And watch your back." That night, Eli did not sleep. Instead, he opened the wall panel behind his bed, using a small tool hidden in his boots, something he built from scraps. He connected to the palace's old maintenance systems. Alien script danced across the screen. But Eli understood enough. Security doors, energy flows, hallways not shown on maps, and hidden messages. Rebellion rising. Remove the human. Take the crown. So it was true. Someone was planning to overthrow Zaraxa. Eli was their first target the next morning. It happened. Eli was walking through a garden chamber, a dome filled with strange alien plants and glowing vines when 3 nobles surrounded him. They smiled coldly. One stepped forward. "Human, the queen has asked to meet you. Privately." Eli narrowed his eyes. "Funny, she didn't mention it." The noble drew a blade. "Because she won't see you alive again." The 3 rushed at him. Eli ducked, rolled, and drew the dagger from his robe. He slashed upward, cutting one across the arm. Another lunged. Eli kicked him into a thorny bush. The 3rd grabbed him by the throat butt. Eli jammed the dagger into the attacker's side. The alien screamed and fell. Suddenly, the doors burst open. Guards rushed in, weapons ready. Queen Zaraxa came with them. She saw the Senii bruised but standing. 3 nobles bleeding on the ground. Her face burned with fury. She raised her hand. "Take them to the pit." The attackers were dragged away, begging for mercy. Zaraxa turned to Eli. "You fought them?" He nodded, still breathing hard. "I told you to watch your back," she said. Then a small smile formed. "Didn't expect you to take down 3 of them?" "I'm not just a weak human," Eli said, wiping blood from his face. "You chose me for a reason. Maybe I'm starting to believe it." Zarax's smile widened. "Because this was only the beginning." That night, Eli was moved to new quarters, closer to the queen's private chambers. No more guards followed him now. Instead, he had his own hand-picked Veraxi soldiers who respected his fight. The court had changed. Some nobles still hated him, but others began to whisper differently now. The human fought back. The human bled Veraxi blood. The queen's mate is no coward. Eli sat beside Zaraxa that night, watching the lava flows through the open balcony. "You never expected this, did you?" he asked. She shook her head. "No, but I don't regret it. You still think I'm special?" "I know you are," she said. "And soon, everyone else will too." The palace of Queen Zaraxa was changing. Ever since Eli fought off the 3 nobles who tried to kill him, the mood in the court had shifted. Some Veraxi nobles still mocked him behind his back, but others now nodded with slow respect. A few even asked for his opinion on minor issues, land disputes, technology or defense. Eli was no longer just the human offering. He was now the queen's consort who bled noble blood. But that didn't mean he was safe. A week passed. Royal Court was preparing for a massive event, the ceremony of the Moonfire Bond, a sacred Vyrexy ritual that would officially mark Eli and Xiraxa as bonded. Once bonded, no one in the Empire could challenge the Queen's mate without facing death. Eli had mixed feelings. Do I get a choice in this? He asked one evening. Queen Xiraxa sat beside him on the balcony. She was dressed in deep red robes, her eyes reflecting the glow of lava rivers below. You do, she said softly, but the bond protects you. Once sealed, you cannot be removed by force. You mean assassinated? Yes, Eli sighed. Then I guess we better make it official. Xiraxa looked at him with an unreadable expression. You still fear? Me, Eli paused. Not like before. Don't think you're going to eat me anymore. A smile tugged at the corner of her lips. That is progress. On the day of the ceremony, the palace was full of light and music. Hundreds of alien nobles gathered in the great hall. Colored fires danced in the air, and glowing banners hung from the high walls. The Vyrexy priests chanted in deep tones, speaking. In their ancient tongue, Eli wore a ceremonial robe of obsidian thread, lined with silver. A strange crown rested on his head. He stood beside Xiraxa at the center of the hall, trying not to look nervous. She towered over him, proud and silent, her armor shining under the affrelish. The high priest stepped forward with a golden blade. He held it between them. Let the bond be sealed in blood and flame, the priest said. Eli reached out first, cut a shallow line on his palm. Blood dripped into the glowing bowl. Xiraxa followed, doing the same as their blood mixed in the bowl. The fires around them flared up, burning bright blue. It is done, the priest cried. They are one in name and fire. The hall filled with applause. Some cheers, some silent glares. That night the queen hosted a private banquet in the Hall of Stars. Dozens of nobles came, dressed in shining armor and flowing robes. Food was served in strange dishes, roasted beasts, glowing fruit, and drinks that steamed. Eli sat beside Xiraxa, trying not to touch anything that looked like it might bite back. One noble, a woman with bright green scales and sharp wings, raised a glass. To our queen. And her strange little human, she said with a smirk. Some nobles laughed. Eli stood slowly. He raised his own cup. To our friends, he said, smiling politely. May their jokes be funnier next time, or laughter. Louder this time. Even Xiraxa let out a deep chuckle. The noble's smirk faded, but behind all the smiles and games, Eli could feel it, the tension. Some were smiling too much, some were too quiet, and he felt watched. Later that evening, Eli excused himself from the hall. He walked through a quiet garden tunnel near the upper towers. The stars above shone through the glass roof. Alien plants glowed softly around him. Then he heard a click. His instincts kicked in. He ducked in. A dart flew past his head. Hitting the wall, Eli rolled behind a pillar, heart racing from the shadows. 3 masked assassins stepped forward. They were lean, armored, and fast. Their blades were curved and coated with green poison. You shouldn't have bonded with her, one hissed. You've made her weak. Eli didn't answer. He grabbed the short blade from his boot and backed up slowly. The assassins attacked. The fight was fast and brutal. Eli dodged the first strike, rolled under the second, and cut the third across the leg. One of them lunged. Eli grabbed a loose vine from the garden wall and used it to pull the assassin off balance. Another tried to stab him. Mealy slammed his elbow into the attacker's jaw. But there were 3, and he was tiring. A blade cut across his shoulder. He fell, bleeding, gasping. Then a roar echoed through the chamber. Queen Xiraxa arrived like a storm. Her claws glowed with energy, her eyes blazing. She slammed one assassin against a pillar with a single hand. The second tried to run she through her blade and pinned him to the wall. Third jumped toward her, screaming. She grabbed him mid-air and snapped his weapon in 2. Silence filled the chamber. Eli sat against the wall. Breathing hard, Xiraxa ran to him. You're hurt. I've had worse, he muttered. She helped him up, her large hands surprisingly gentle. Her eyes were full of fire and worry. Why didn't you call for help? She asked. Didn't have time, he said, trying to smile. You could have died, but I didn't. Back in his room, the healers treated his wounds. His shoulder burned, but he stayed calm. Zaraxa paced the room like a caged beast. This was no accident, she said. Assassins in my own palace, my own nobles. They test me. They want me gone, Eli said. No, she corrected. Want us broken? If they cannot kill you, they hope to make me fear for you, make me weaker. She paused, then looked at him with serious eyes. But I am not weak, and neither are you. Eli nodded slowly. What will you do? Tomorrow, I will summon the nobles, and I will remind them what happens to traitors. The next day, the throne room was full again. Zaraxa stood tall, her golden eyes cold. Eli stood beside her, his shoulder wrapped in dark cloth. The queen speaks, the court crier announced. Zaraxa raised her clawed hand. 3 assassins entered my palace. They attacked my consort. They nearly killed him. The crowd murmured. They were nobles, masked, trained, but weak in heart. She turned slowly, looking at the gathered lords and ladies. You forget who I am. You think the human makes me soft. She pointed at Eli. He is not soft. He fought. He bled. He killed to survive. What? He's straight. Eli didn't move. He kept his face calm. But inside, he was shaking. You think him unworthy? Zaraxa asked the room. Then step forward. Challenge him. Or stay silent and accept him. No one moved. Not one noble stepped forward. Zaraxa nodded. Then let this be your last warning. I made his mind by blood and fire. Touch him again, and I will burn down this court myself. That night, Eli and Zaraxa stood alone on the high balcony. The sky was full of stars. The air was warm. You didn't have to do all that, he said. Yes, I did, she replied. They needed to see that I will not be broken, and neither will you. He looked at her. You don't see me as a weakness anymore. I never did, she said. But now they don't either. Eli smiled. You make a strange couple, yes, she said, but maybe strong one. The court was quiet for many days after the failed assassination attempt. The nobles now watched Eli with new eyes. Not just as a strange human, not just as a mate to their queen, but as someone who had survived. Someone who had faced death and stood his ground. The palace was still dangerous. But something had shifted. Eli Vance was no longer prey, but that didn't mean he had answers. Late one evening, as the stars filled the sky and the lava rivers flowed, below, Queen Zaraxa sent for him. She wore no armor, no crown, just a plain robe of deep blue silk. Her sharp tail moved slowly behind her as she waited by a carved stone door at the far end of the palace. What's this place? Eli asked, arriving with curiosity. Her voice was quiet. A part of the palace even my nobles cannot enter. She pressed her clawed hand to the stone. It glowed, and the door slid open. Inside was a narrow passage lit by soft blue lights. She said, I want you to see the truth. They walked in silence down the ancient hallway. The air was cooler here. The walls were covered in strange carvings, scenes of battles, beasts and winged Virexi queens from long ago. Finally, they entered a chamber unlike any Eli had seen. The room was round, with a glowing pool in the center. Around it were old weapons, broken crowns, and faded banners. This is the Hall of Memory, Zaraxa said. It's a place where past rulers hid their shame. Eli frowned. What kind of shame? We're told we are cannibals. Monsters, that we eat our enemies. He nodded slowly. It's not true. Eli blinked. Wait, what? Zaraxa stepped forward. The blood rituals, the feasts after battle, they were always for show. A performance to make other species. Fear us? You never actually? No, she said sharply. I have never eaten anyone. None of the humans sent before you were consumed. They were executed quietly, because refusing the ritual would have made me look weak. Eli sat down on a smooth stone bench. His hands trembled. All this time, all those people. Hated it, she said. every single time. But the court demanded strength, and to them, strength was cruelty. Power was fear. She walked to the pool and touched the glowing surface. Images flickered young Zaraxa being crowned, facing hostile nobles, standing over prisoners. I did what I had to do to survive, Eli. Didn't speak for a while. The silence between them was heavy, but not cold. You chose me, he said finally, to break the cycle. Yes, she answered. I felt something different when I saw you. Not just in you, but in me. Like a chance to be something else. Eli looked around the hidden chamber. So why show me this now? Because I trust you, she said. And because the truth is dangerous. If the nobles find out, they will destroy me. Looked her in the eye. Then why take the risk? Her voice softened. Because I care what you think of me. They left the Hall of Memory in silence. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. The Queen's words echoed in his mind. I have never eaten anyone. The great Queen of Monsters. Wasn't a monster at all. She had been playing a role, trapped in a cage made by fear and tradition. Just like him the next day, news arrived from deep space. A nearby colony, once loyal to the Queen, had declared independence. They claimed that Zaraxa had corrupted the Empire by bonding with a human. Worse, the rebellion was led by none other than Lord Vecker, the same noble who had once mocked Eli at the feast. Of course it's him, Eli muttered. Queen Zaraxa stood before her war council, claws clenched. He dares raise an army against the crown. A general stepped forward. Shall we send the fleet, my queen? Eli spoke up. Wait, before we fight, can I try something? All heads turned toward him. Eli looked at Zaraxa. Let me speak to them. You want to face rebels? Alone? She asked. I want to talk to them, he said. If they hate me, fine. But maybe if they see I'm not weak, not some joke, they'll think twice. The court murmured with doubt, but Zaraxa nodded. Then you'll go. With protection. The next day, Eli and a small escort of loyal guards flew to the rebel colony on a sleek Veraxy shuttle. The colony was cold and gray, built into the side of a rocky moon. Soldiers lined the landing area, their weapons ready. Lord Vecker stood at the center, arms crossed. Well, look what the Queen sends. Her favorite pet? Eli stepped forward, unarmed. I'm not here to fight, he said. Just to speak. Vecker laughed. You have no voice here, human. Then why are you listening? That shut the noble up for a moment. Eli walked slowly across the platform, stopping just a few meters from the rebel leader. You all think I'm a weakness? He said loudly. A joke. A soft little human who somehow fooled your queen. But I didn't fool anyone. I survived your court. I fought off assassins. I bled for the crown. He pointed at Vecker. You want the old ways? Blood and fear? But what has that gotten you? More war? More death? Eli raised his voice. The Queen didn't choose me because I'm human. She chose me because I'm different. Because I don't believe strength means cruelty. Some of the rebels were listening now. Their expressions had changed. A few looked unsure. I came here with no weapons, Eli said. Because I believe in something better. If you don't, then kill me. Right here. He opened his arms. Silence. No one moved. Finally, Vecker snarled. You're a fool, Eli smiled. Maybe, but I'm still standing. Back on the shuttle, the guards were silent as they flew home. Eli sat quietly, unsure what had really changed. But when they arrived back at the palace, Queen Zaraxa was waiting on the landing pad. She looked him up and down. You're alive? Disappointed? He asked. She snorted. Not at all. Word from the colony just reached me. And half of Vecker's soldiers laid down their arms. The rest are retreating. Eli raised an eyebrow. We're welcome. She stepped forward, closer than usual. You spoke for me, she said softly. You faced them, with nothing but your words. I'm just tired of blood, he said. Aren't you? She didn't answer with words. Instead, she gently pressed her forehead to his, a Veraxy sign of deep respect. And something more. You may not be of my blood, she whispered, but you are the strongest partner I have ever known. That night, Eli returned to the balcony above the lava fields. He looked at the stars and the glowing rivers below. He had come here expecting to die, to be a meal. But now he was part of something bigger, a new future. One where fear didn't rule. One where even a human could make a difference. Xyraxa joined him, standing silently beside him. Will they ever truly accept me? He asked. Some will, some won't, she said. But they will never forget you, he smiled. I can live with that. The next few weeks changed everything. Across the galaxy, news spread fast. Queen Xyraxa had chosen a human as her mate. Some alien races mocked her. Others feared what it meant. But the truth was undeniable. Eli Vance had survived. He had stopped a rebellion. And now he stood beside the Vyrexy Queen, not as a prisoner, but as a partner. Inside the palace, new banners were hung. Symbols of peace, of union, strength born from something other than fear. But not everyone was happy. One night, as the twin moons rose above the lava fields, Queen Xyraxa stood with her generals in the war chamber. The border colonies are watching us, one general said. If they believe you've gone soft, Xyraxa raised her hand. Let them come. Eli stepped beside her. We're not soft, he said. We're changing. That's not the same thing. Another noble spoke. The galaxy won't understand. They only know fear. Then let's teach them something new, Eli said. Later, Eli and Xyraxa walked the high garden alone. The lava light made her dark scales shine like black glass. Her tail gently swayed as she moved beside him. You've changed this place, she said softly. I just talked, Eli replied. You're the one who made it happen. She stopped and looked at him. The crown has never had a husband before. The court doesn't even have a word for it. Then make one, Eli said with a smirk. She laughed. Deep rumbling sound. How do humans name such a thing? Husband is fine, she tilted her head. Then I will call you that. My husband, he smiled, and that night the stars seemed closer than ever. But peace never lasts forever. 3 days later, an envoy arrived from the Galactic Alliance, a union of powerful alien species. Their ambassador, a pale-skinned long-necked being named Yelzer, came with warnings. Your empire's changes are making others nervous, Yelzer said, sitting across from Xyraxa and Eli. They believe you're no longer dangerous. That? You've been tamed, Eli frowned. That's nonsense. Not to them, Yelzer replied. And some of them are preparing fleets. Xyraxa narrowed her eyes. Let them come. Yelzer shook his head. There's a better way. The Alliance Summit is in 10 days. Speak there. Show them what has changed. Prove you still hold power and purpose. Eli looked at Xyraxa. This is our chance. She nodded. We'll go. The summit was held on a giant space station at the center of 5 star systems. Thousands of aliens were their leaders. Generals, scientists, and nearly all of them stared. When Eli walked in beside the Vyrexy Queen, whispers followed him like shadows. That's the human? It's her consort? He's still alive? In the grand chamber, Queen Xyraxa stood before the council. Her voice echoed like thunder. I come not to beg, but to speak truth. My people are strong. We were feared. And yes, our old ways were cruel, but strength is not just in blood. It is in wisdom, in change. The room stirred. I have chosen a new path. And I have chosen a mate not for his strength of body, but strength of heart. She looked at Eli. Her eyes were soft, but proud. Eli stepped forward. His voice was calm. I was sent as food, a joke. But I didn't die. I stood up. The queen saw something in me I didn't even see in myself. He looked around at the alien leaders. Your fear of change won't stop it. The galaxy is evolving. Either you learn to live with Itor or be left behind? Gasps echoed through the room. A few delegates even clapped, but one stood up. It was a massive creature with silver armor and forearms. Warlord Hrock, leader of Hark, a militant species called the Gunok. You speak big words, human. But where is your power? Without weapons? Without fear? How will you survive a war? Queen Zyrax's claws tightened. Eli stared at the warlord. Power isn't just about destroying. Sometimes it's about protecting, Warlord Hawk snorted. Then prove it. Face me a duel. No. The room exploded in noise. Eli blinked. You want me to fight you? Zyraxa stepped forward. He is not a warrior. But Eli raised a hand. No, I'll do it. The duel was set for the next morning. On a raised platform in the arena deck of the station, thousands watched from the stands. Holograms streamed the event across space. Eli stood on one side wearing light armor. No weapons. Warlord Hrock stood on the other, covered in metal and muscle. The horn blew. The Gunok charged. Eli dodged barely. His training with the palace guards helped, but this was different. The warlord struck like a comet, sending sparks flying as his fists hit the floor. Eli rolled, jumped, and dodged again. He couldn't win with strength, so he used speed. At thought, after 5 minutes, the warlord began to slow. Eli faked left, then dashed right and grabbed a loose panel from the ground. He used it as a shield, blocking a swing. Then, with all his force, he threw it into Rock's face. The warlord staggered back. Eli lunged and slammed a boot into the creature's knee. Rock dropped. Silence fell. Eli stood, chest heaving, bruised and bleeding, but standing. The warlord looked up. You fight like a beast, he growled. Eli offered a hand. I fight for my people. Rock took the hand, and the crowd rose in cheers after the duel. Everything changed again. The Alliance no longer mocked Xerox's choice. Instead, they respected it, even feared it. The queen and her human husband had shown strength not just of arms, but of soul. Back at the Vyrexy Palace, the people celebrated. New laws were suspending the ritual executions, creating trade with humans, and allowing other species to enter the capital freely. Queen Zyraxa stood on her throne. Eli stood beside her. She raised her hand. For generations, we ruled by fear. Today we rule by purpose, and beside me stands the proof. She turned to Eli, my husband, my equal, my heart. The crowd roared. Later, in the quiet of their chamber, Eli sat by the window. Zyraxa joined him, wrapping her tail gently around his legs. Did you ever think, she whispered, that you would end up here? He laughed. I thought I'd be dinner, remember? She chuckled. You're far more than a meal. He looked at her, serious now. You saved me. Not just from death, but from the small, empty life I had before. You gave me courage, she said. They kissed under the twin moons, and far above them, the stars watched a new future begin.